It's Tuesday. It is time for pop culture. Are you excited, Keith?
I will be once I fix my camera. There we go.
Yeah.
It's not focusing well at all. So
if you're listening on the podcast, you don't know what we're talking about with the camera. We stream live on Facebook Live every Tuesday. Well, most Tuesday nights.
Every Tuesday.
Starting at 8 p.m. And we go to 9, 9:30, 10, depending on what it is we're talking about. Sometimes we get excited.
Depends on how much people engage with us, too.
That's true. You are welcome to join live and join the conversation. Facebook.com/popshow. Vanessa's on right now. She's waving hello. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello, Vanessa.
Thank you for joining us. We also know Jess and Chris are watching, so hey, guys. If you have downloaded our podcast or you miss our fabulous Facebook Live show, you are getting us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or Podbean.
Yep.
That is where our podcast lives. You can also follow us 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are posting on Pop Show on Facebook, and we do tweet occasionally at Pop Show.
Twitter's all you. Facebook's me.
Yeah, that's why it's only occasional. And also, popshow.com always has something to talk about.
That's true. We have plenty to talk about this week.
Yeah, we do. There's some interesting things happening in the world of pop culture this week.
Hard fade.
Fade. Hello. And Walter says hi, and Jess says
Walter.
hi. And you know what? We're flying solo. This is the OG Shower Thoughts crew.
Oh, God, you're going to throw that out there?
So here's a pop culture throwback. Back in the day on a radio station long, long ago that no longer exists in a land far, far away.
Back in the day, she means like 3 years ago.
Right. We were on a radio show that was called Shower Thoughts, and then we wound up finding out that all of our shower thoughts were about pop culture.
I mean...
Which is a weird thing to say, but here we are. So that's where Popped came along. Popped was a show that was started by some other people. Keith joined it. I came in later as the token female. And here we are.
And this is what has been shaken out.
That's right. So let's talk about what have you done in pop culture this week?
Let's see. What have I done? We went to Tidewater Comic Con. That was a big thing.
We did go to Tidewater Comic Con.
That was fun. We went, what was it, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
They have been stepping up their game.
They have. And
that whole crew.
That show has gotten bigger and better. And there's tons of cosplayers. I mean, the first year I went, which was 3 years ago, it felt like a small show. Mm-hmm. You know, and we've been to cons of all different shapes and sizes, and it is now a big show. They've
got like big name, like, okay, I mean, I say big name, but I mean, they've always been able to get guests. Last year they had some Power Rangers. This year they had some more Power Rangers. They had voice actors. They had Matt. I want to say Gates McFadden from Star Trek Next Generation and Matt Ryan from Constantine or Legends of Tomorrow.
Not the quarterback,
yes. Those were the big gets this year, and those lines were very long. And they had Greg Supps, the voice actor, as well. But yeah, they had a solid showing as far as guests and vendors and artists and crowd, audience-wise. I mean, that thing was packed.
Yeah, our little corner of the world. Getting some love and recognition, and so good job to the Tidewater Comic Con guys. We can't wait until next year. Can't wait to see who the cool guests are.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be there next year.
We'll be there.
We tried to post from it, but it's if you guys ever go to cons, just remember your cell signal is going to be crap.
There's don't even bother. Even if they have Wi-Fi, it's like not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Because everyone's trying to get on the Wi-Fi.
Well, everybody's trying to share their experiences and stream live and, whatever.
Post photos and...
Yeah, it's not happening. But it was a great con. We had a lot of fun.
We did.
And, it was a nice way to spend the Saturday. It was a beautiful day.
I think they do a mini con in October up in Hampton.
They do.
I don't know when exactly it is, but I feel like October is around the same.
It's in the fall at some point.
So if you guys missed Tidewater Comic Con, that'll be the one to check out.
We're also treading water with our shows. We have so many. But we did finish Atlanta. We did finish the season of Atlanta.
Atlanta and Barry. Two incredibly smart shows. Like, they aren't, I don't know, we've gotten to this culture now where it's always got to be action-packed. It's got to be fast-paced. It's got to be funny. It's got to be this or that. Atlanta and Barry were just simple shows. Well-written, simple plots, not even like an overall arc per se, just well-written, fun, enjoyable shows.
Well, the concepts for them both are unique. And I will say the thing that they share is that they're both dark.
Yeah, they're dark comedies.
They're dark comedies,
Yeah.
which, and sometimes you kind of wonder how you're supposed to be reacting. Well, I do. I mean, I don't know. I'm a little self-conscious about that. Having worked in TV, I come from I'm always wondering the motivation of the writer.
Right.
So there were a few times in both shows where I thought, because I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be laughing or if I was supposed to be feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
And therefore I wound up feeling uncomfortable. It's not far from how I felt with Get Out.
Okay. Yeah.
And how I felt watching the trailer for the Black Klansman. It's not about...
It's which you can watch on Facebook.com/Pop Show.
That's right. We posted that yesterday. So it's but the dark comedy genre is not new. It's been around. Mm-hmm. But to see it this successful and this well done in mainstream culture, I mean, the storyline of Atlanta is unfortunately not as well covered because it's just about folks.
It's about three friends,
right?
One who made it big as a rap star, and one friend who's trying to help them, and then the other one who's just along for the ride.
Well, it's an African American driven show. The showrunners, the concept, everything.
Yeah, Donald Glover. You may have heard of him.
Yeah, he's doing okay, yeah. I guess. But and unfortunately, that's not getting the representation that it should, and now it is, and it's so great because there's been so much of that crossing cultures. We haven't had to worry about ourselves being represented because we're not of a racial minority, but it's good to see that. But I will say, sometimes I wonder if Donald Glover is just messing with us.
Oh, he totally is.
Because
he views things so differently.
Well, the last few episodes of this season were really well done, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody.
There's one that's really out there.
There's one that's really like, dude, and it was almost like a hockey fight. I mean, it wasn't even a hockey fight. It was like just something so horrible and tragic that you can't stop watching, like a car chase.
I don't know which episode you're even talking about now because there were
really
there's a piano picking up episode.
Those analogies could compare to any of those.
Yeah,
because
there was the Woods episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then there's one episode that, and that's the thing I like about it is like it's not like Donald Glover is in every episode or Paperboy, is in every episode. Mm-hmm. It's the penultimate episode of the season was basically a flashback to their, I guess, what was it, middle school days?
Yeah.
And it was very relatable. It was, kind of elementary, middle school. And you didn't really realize why they were telling you that story until the next episode. So, I mean, they have their ideas in mind for the whole season, and it just plays out differently. I still don't know what the point of the piano episode was.
Well, they're all done really well. The acting is great, and the writing is smart, and Atlanta's pretty amazing.
Atlanta's on basic cable too. It's on FX. So
it's on
you
FX.
guys should definitely be watching it.
Right. And then Barry is on HBO. Oh, remind me of that actor's name.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader plays the title character, and he's a hitman turned wannabe actor.
Theater actor.
And, okay, again, without spoiling it, the last episode goes to a place where you are off balance. And let me tell you.
Well, because they set up things earlier on in the season. And again, we're trying not to spoil this as best we can.
Okay, well, I think we can say we're not sure if some of the events in the last episode are actually happening or if they're part of another sequence. Like if they're part of a dream sequence or a flashback or a...
No, they confirmed that it was an actual...
No, well, that's because we watched the end part.
Well, yeah.
But, they do a... inside the episode or whatever afterwards. End. So we watched that part and it revealed, but that it was not
But they said they wanted
fantasy.
They wanted to frame it so you weren't really sure.
Well, that's because
they did it wonderfully.
Well, they did do it wonderfully. That was a part. That was a part of the show that was recurring. That Barry was a combat veteran, so he occasionally did have flashbacks and fantasies and things that you could tell weren't happening.
Right.
And when there's this particular sequence popped up, you weren't exactly sure. You were unstable. And I actually had a conversation with a friend of mine about some Netflix documentaries and how they were so good because you felt unstable. You can't, pick a conclusion and hang on to it. You're not sure if what's his name from Making a Murderer is guilty.
Oh, I can't. I know his cousin or his
Brendan
nephew.
Dassey, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're not sure if the guy's
Steve something.
Steve Avery.
Yeah, there we go.
Right. So
Teamwork.
it's unstable, and you're not sure about the conclusion. But one thing we are sure about is how much we love Greg from
Good
Local Heroes.
segue.
Is that true?
It is.
It is true. Ooh, cut you down.
I could use some love this week. It's been a
Why?
week, and it feels good to be loved by the two of you.
It's
or
only
the three of you.
It's only two of us today, but there's why well,
Okay,
it's only Tuesday. How has it been a week already?
Right? It's just one of those weeks.
All right. Well, I hope the rest of the remaining 3 days, although the weather's gonna be crap around here, so get those sandbags ready. I hope the other 3 days of this week are better for you.
Thank you. Well, this is a high point of my week, and then it goes to shit, and then I call again, and it's great.
Huzzah! Well, I'm glad we could help out, even if a little bit.
Thank you.
So, how you been, man? Other than crappy week, everything going all right at the shop? Staying busy?
Yeah, doing well. Post comic book day buzz. It was a big day, and I took a couple days off, and it was nice.
Good. Well, before we get into your top picks for this week, let's do our thing.
Please.
We fancy.
We are fancy. Ooh. All right. Well, Greg, let's hear your top picks for the week, man.
Comics come on every Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
And I will be there tomorrow for
Wednesday. Thank you. And it's so great that you come.
So between the comics and Keith, tomorrow is going to be better. So you have that to look forward to.
Absolutely. I love New Comic Book Day every week. And I open the boxes and I get excited. It's fun.
Good.
But this week, some good stuff. Marvel put out a really good book. I know that is unheard of. But they did, and it was called Avengers #1, and it came out a couple weeks ago, written by Jason Aaron, who is really solid. The second issue comes out tomorrow, and I just want to say that I have read 1 and 2, and I have personally liked both comics. And this is a Marvel superhero book, so that's really saying something.
Wow,
awesome.
That is saying something.
Absolutely. So if you're into, if you're trying to ride that Infinity War high and you want an Avengers book where you can jump in from the beginning, grab 1 and 2 at the same time.
I'm looking at the cover here on the screen, and it's got like a whole cascade of characters too. Some that I don't even think. Let's see, I see Black Panther, Thor. What is that? Captain Marvel. But then some I don't recognize.
Yeah, they're throwing. The core team is the people you know and love.
Okay.
But there's definitely some new faces, but they're not like the main squad. So
nice. All right, I like it.
Yes. The next book I'm excited about is from a company called Aftershock. They do some really good comics, but they're a small publisher. They're doing a book tomorrow from Garth Ennis, who's the legendary Pusher, obviously his most famous work.
Yeah.
He also wrote The Boys, and this comic tomorrow is called A Walk Through Hell. It's written by him. It's drawn by a guy who used to draw Why Last Man when the main artist was taking a hiatus. I'm not even going to attempt to say his name, but I've always enjoyed his art. So the two of them together on this book is an exciting prospect. I haven't read this one yet, but it's on my pile. It'll be on the top of my pile tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's got a very simplistic cover. So I'm kind of curious. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up the description here while I got you on the phone here. So let's see here.
It's a horror book, which he really hasn't done much in us. So I'm kind of excited to see what kind of horror chops he has.
Yeah, 2 FBI agents walk into a warehouse. One of the agents, pushing 40 in a borderline burnout. Their words, not mine. Ghastly memories of her last investigation. And then she's paired up with a younger, more dedicated, idealistic agent. and they go missing inside a warehouse, and they're sent to, or no, excuse me, two fellow agents go missing inside a warehouse, and they're sent to, these two are sent to investigate it, and what they find is far from routine. So yeah, terror and nightmares, all sorts of horror. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Sudzuka? Grand Sudzuka?
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go with that.
I think he's from Serbia, so
okay.
Who knows how you say it.
Either way, I mean, he's worked on Hellblazer and Wile E. Last Man, like you said, and Garth Ennis, Preacher, and The Boys. It's a solid team.
Yes, I'm excited. I hope it's good. And if it's not, don't blame me, please.
We never do.
Thank you. The last book tomorrow is from DC. They've been doing this new age of superheroes where they've been taking some characters out of metal. They've been taking some old characters that you haven't seen in comics in a while, like Plastic Man, and they're giving them new comics. The Plastic Man's in the Terrifics, which is really good. The book tomorrow that debuts is New Challengers. The Challengers is an old DC team, and this looks like just like an updated version of the Challengers. So it's written by Scott Snyder, and it's drawn by Klaus Janson, who is a legendary Daredevil artist. So hopes are high for this book as well.
Excellent. Well, where can they pick up these three fine books tomorrow, sir?
Comics in Norfolk, Local Heroes, 1905 Colonial Avenue in Ghent, right next to Kogan's Pizza.
Well, and to be fair, you got more than just comics. You've got games. We have
collectibles, some games. I mean, it's a lovely store, honestly. Apparel.
Yeah.
And knowledgeable and dazzling staff members.
Also valid.
Yeah, they're all really good looking and nice, except for me. So I stay in the back.
You're the best looking one of all of them. Are you kidding me?
God, I love you.
Awesome, Greg. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. We appreciate you calling in, and I will see you tomorrow afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too, man. Bye.
All right, bye.
Awesome.
I have committed to picking back up all the comics. When we first started dating, you got me comics. I know. And I read them and just didn't keep up with it. Stop giving me side eye, Mr. Side Eye. I know. And stop giving me Keith Face, Mr. Keith Face. Like, okay, I know. But ever since the last scene of the movie, don't Tina me. You're going to Tina me.
Oh, dang it.
No.
Nope, I didn't Tina.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, I just...
Ha, ha, Phil.
I'm taking crazy pills!
Okay, but I am. And I'll tell you why. I made it a goal to read 1 book a month, and I'm ahead by 2 books because I've been running so much. Stop, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Are you done? Are you done with the buttons?
For now.
Anyway, I'm ahead of my novel challenge, so now I need to pick up my
It's a trap!
It's not a trap. What?
No.
That one didn't even make sense. Anyway, so I do need to pick up the comics that I already have. I want to reread them. And
yeah, I think at this point, those comics...
they're several years old now, but...
Well, they're 7 years old and Marvel's rebooted everything. So, there's that.
No, they're not all Marvel.
Well, yeah, no, you had some Wonder Woman. I think even the Wonder Woman... Did I start you out on Rebirth? I think Rebirth happened since
you started me out on... No, you didn't. Rebirth happened, and I have the first trade for Rebirth.
Okay.
But
so then
I
you
don't
stopped
have...
reading after
Yeah,
that.
but I stopped reading after that.
Well, this is fun. My mouse just crapped out.
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties.
Well, that's not good.
Well, you're on Facebook comments because I can't do anything else apparently.
All right, Facebook comments it is. So anyway, tell us, guys, what you're reading. Tweet us at Pop Show or comment on our Facebook. Yeah. So later today, let's see. So what we were talking about before Greg so graciously interrupted.
Oh, he graciously interrupted with all sorts of info for us tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Back.
And we were talking about, Barry and Atlanta.
Yes.
So you know what else I've been doing? I have been playing a lot of a video game.
It's true. We have been doing video games.
Yes, we both have. And
also, Vanessa says she has a goal of 50 books, by the way.
well, Vanessa's beating me with books. I mean, I'm ahead for May, but yeah, mine was only 1 a month.
Oh, we got so many other things that we're doing.
Right.
I mean, I mean, like you said, we've been watching our shows. I've all but dropped my CW shows so I could focus on Atlanta and Barry and Westworld. And last week tonight, I'm trying to think, is there anything else? You mentioned wanting to get back into Doctor Who, and at this point, I don't even know how we would do that.
It used to just be spring and fall seasons, and now it's like all the time with, Netflix and Hulu, and they do their releases when they do. I mean, I've been watching Handmaid's Tale, and, I mean, SVU is back from the break, and Modern Family's back from their break, and right, yep, Law and Order, good job.
New drop.
So, we're it's hard to keep up with TV. I mean, we'll catch up. We just haven't had a lot of downtime.
Well,
either.
and plus the weather is getting better too, so there's no.
Yeah,
really wanna...
we want to be outside.
Yeah.
But I have decided that I was going to try to relax. Those of you who know me personally know that is somewhat of a challenge for me. I'm not actually very good at it, so I attempted to relax by writing down ways I could possibly relax.
How's that working out for you?
I mean, I was moderately successful.
For how long?
At least 2 consecutive hours.
Okay.
So, okay, I picked up, Miles, friend of the show, Miles, who is a jerk and not with us tonight.
That had to be said.
Yeah, but I mean, he told us that
Yeah,
he was
did.
being a jerk and wasn't going to join us.
He actually put Labo together too. I saw him putting that together.
Oh, he was putting Labo together.
Yeah.
Well, he suggested I start Stardew Valley on the Switch, so I did, and it's like The Sims and Farmville and.
Which are all your types of games.
Yeah, they're all my. I mean, those are the.
I mean, short of adding Candy Crush as like a mini game in there, I mean, you're pretty much set.
Well, the best part is that they don't make you wait for BS reasons or make you stop playing after a while. Like you could just play.
Yeah.
And that was my problem with Candy Crush, and the reason why I won't show anybody my iTunes purchases.
Probably wise.
Yeah, because of the extra lollipop hammers and crap that I buy. Not that I've ever done that.
I have no room to talk. I mean, you guys are looking at a room full of crap I bought that I didn't really need. So.
Those in-app purchases were a problem, and I eventually I've deleted them all multiple times. I will say I spent entirely too long playing Farmville in my life, and it was my friend was pregnant at the time, and she was bored because she wasn't getting out and doing much while she was pregnant. So she was like, "Please play this game with me." So she and I played Farmville. To an embarrassing degree. I lived in Atlanta and she lived in Richmond at the time. We were 9 hours apart and we got together for a weekend or something and literally spent the whole time playing Farmville, in the same room, talking about Farmville.
That's the world we live in
I
now.
know, it was pitiful. So we both cold turkeyed it and then had a brief resurgence for Farmville 2. This is humiliating, by the way. For our podcast listeners, this is humiliating that I am confessing my Farmville scenario. I'm clean now. I've been clean for several years.
Do you have a little token?
I feel like I should. But anyway, so now I'm back on Stardew Valley, which is okay. Whoever's laughing at me on Facebook, I appreciate it.
I think it might be Vanessa.
Probably.
That's my guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's pretty hilarious. But anyway, so Stardew Valley is along that same vein, and they don't constantly hit you up for in-app purchases.
Well, that's nice.
I know. So Vanessa says that she's got the Disney emoji game, Emoji Blast or whatever, which I played for a little while, but...
Isn't it basically just Candy Crush?
Yeah, it is. Candy Crush with Disney.
Okay.
A Disney situation. And whatever, you have your games. You played The Sims and you played a Marvel game for a while.
I did SimCity for, maybe a month, and I was like, all right, I'm done. That's bad. What was the Marvel game I was playing?
You were playing
the fighting game.
Marvel game.
Yeah, Contest of Champions for mobile. I was playing Injustice 2 a lot.
We had our stint with...
I'm still on my Fallout 4 kick, staying up till all hours of the night playing it.
Yeah.
It's because, you're playing Stardew Valley at this point, so it's like, all right, she's occupied. I don't need to entertain her. Back to my games.
It might be a bad thing for our relationship if we both have games we're hooked on.
Is it though?
Well, I mean
think
for
about
our
it.
circulation and general well-being.
Well, yeah, we're still getting out and about. We still have things we're doing.
Speaking of circulation and general well-being, did you see that YouTube is going to start doing a thing where if you're binging too long, it's going to tell you to get up?
No.
Yeah, that posted today, and I caught it earlier. I didn't send it to you because it wasn't exactly pop culture, but yeah, so you know how you can fall down like a YouTube hole the same way
easily.
you fall down a wiki hole where you like start reading about something and then it connects
One
to
thing leads
something
to
else,
another, yeah.
right?
That's how I watched the best of Donald Glover on Community.
Oh,
other
yeah.
day.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to tell you if you're trying to learn how to do a skill in a video game, the multiple videos that come after that.
And then all the appearances of Donald Glover on 30 Rock, and then how to play the 30 Rock theme on piano, and then all the Conan Bryan appearances. And you get on a long hole on YouTube.
And then how to play rock music on the piano, and then how to play... it goes on forever. So anyway, apparently YouTube has started a thing where they'll tell you that you should probably stand up or like go outside or, get on with your life. And the Wii does that already. The Wii will have, starting with the original Wii, would say, hey, maybe you've been playing.
Break, yeah.
And a few times while we were constructing some of the longer projects on the Labo, which we still have one left.
Yeah. I think we've got a lot more left because there's a lot of things we can do with that. I think we've got one more main thing to build, but I think there's a lot of side things
totally.
we could probably
There's a bunch of stuff. But it'll say, hey, have you had something to eat? Maybe get a glass of water, stand up and stretch your legs,
Yeah.
Which is good because kids who are digital natives maybe don't necessarily know that balance as well.
Yeah, we were definitely the last generation that was before the computer era. Anyone born after the late 80s has always known the computers in their lives.
Yeah. I mean, we went part of our lives without PCs, without a computer in our homes.
I didn't have high-speed internet till 2001. The ancient days. Till college.
Yeah, I didn't till college either.
So.
But that might be because we were broke.
I think it was both.
Yeah.
I think we were broke, but it wasn't exactly cheap either. I mean, granted, the rate it's going now, it's not exactly cheap either. So, there's different times. That's all.
Well, anyway, so YouTube is adding that feature, and
it's probably wise.
I wouldn't mind if Stardew Valley added that feature because it sure does take your time. Like I'll say, oh, I'm just going to play because, the times are set up in days. So you can play a day and then it only takes, it takes however long it takes. I don't know. I'm sure there's an actual real life equivalence behind it. But, next thing you know, you look up and it's like 2 a.m. and you're like, oh,
well, the nice thing about the Switch, though, is you're actually still able to get out. You went and spent some time in the hammock outside.
Oh,
I'm
not tethered to a TV. Yeah.
Right. So, me, for example, though, playing Fallout, which I've also, I'll just do this one last mission and then I'll go to bed at 3 o'clock a.m.
But then
later.
you want to know what happens later.
Well,
Neil says
the missions take a lot longer than expected, so it's,
Well, Neil says a day in Stardew Valley is 20 minutes.
Okay.
So 3 days in an hour.
Yeah.
But then, sometimes the crops take, 6 days, and it's like, well, I might as well play for another hour. Because, the crops are really big payday.
Oh, you're becoming a gamer. Look at you.
No, I don't think this can really count as gamer stat. It's enjoyable.
For you.
But I don't know how much, okay, I still haven't figured out fishing, but it's, it doesn't feel like a very skillful.
You've got Neil and Miles helping you out.
Well, yeah, there's strategy involved and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm still in, the early days. I've only played maybe, 6 or 7 hours total.
Okay.
Over the last week. So, yeah. It's been quite enjoyable, but, it's weird for me because I'm not much of a video game person. We played a lot of Lego Dimensions together, and we played the Labo, and we played Cappy Game, Mario Odyssey.
There you go.
And
got to be able to translate for people who,
who
can't speak Sarah.
Mario Kart and the party games and stuff like that we've always done. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I was like,
I'm not a solo gamer. I'll put it that way.
I used the game a lot, and then relationships and things happen, and then there's also I kind of fell away from it, and now we've got a lot of good games coming out. We've got Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out. We've got Spider-Man coming out. We've got a lot of good games that I really want to get to, but I need to finish out Fallout 4 before I get to those games. Before they come out.
You will have time to play those games because the big news this week and in the end of last week was how many shows got dropped.
Yeah, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't get dropped.
Agents of
so-
S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't get dropped, but I don't think it looks great. But here to talk us through that and to maybe give us a little therapy into our shows that we missed is our good friend Henry. Henry, thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Good. How about you, man?
Good. It's been a very interesting week. A lot of surprises with the upfronts and with the new and the old shows,
Yeah,
or the canceled shows.
I was gonna say you've been keeping busy as far as information that you need to keep up with all this stuff. There's been a lot of stuff to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it keeps coming. It's not like there's a Band-Aid you can rip off. It's like every day the fate of a show that you love is like revealed.
Yeah. Well, they did the NBC, Fox, and ABC have done their upfronts, so we've got CBS and CW coming up. But those two have more or less, I think, they've pretty much made all their decisions. So there's only a couple of things that are kind of left out in the in limbo for a while here. We'll see.
So what was the biggest surprise? Let's start with that network.
What was the biggest surprise? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So the one that got people, and I would say there are about three huge ones, but the one that got people really up in arms was Brooklyn Nine-Nine. If you were on Twitter over Thursday and Friday, you probably heard a little something about it when Fox canceled it after 5 seasons, and people got really upset about it. The ratings have been going down little by little, but it's always been like a favorite show and a really acclaimed show. And after 5 years, Fox did this after 3 years with Mindy Project because both of the shows were owned by NBC, and I think they just decided they got what they could out of them, and they're ready to move on to other things. So, and of course, there's also been a few programming changes overall, but all's well that ends well, because within about 36 hours, the show got picked up by NBC, which is as I said, they own the show. So NBC will be running a 6th season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine in sometime probably next year.
Do you think that'll be good for the show? Because sometimes those fan resuscitated shows are maybe not the home runs that everyone hopes for.
Chuck.
In the case of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, there's not really going to be any major upheaval in the show. It's going to keep on doing what it does best, basically, and being funny. Hopefully, every season I haven't seen a decrease in quality. It's every season has been really great. So I don't anticipate there being any issues other than the thing is also, if you have a Hulu subscription, it won't really affect you at all. You'll just get the episodes just as you always did. So for the people who like it and really follow it, I think it won't be a huge interruption or a huge surprise or a huge change for anybody.
Okay, good.
Right. So what else did Fox axe?
So on the Fox list, what's interesting is they always wait till the last minute for whatever reason for a couple of these Sunday night comedies. They kept Family Guy, they kept Bob's Burgers, which didn't surprise anybody. The biggest thing is they got rid of a couple of other sitcoms. Last Man on Earth got canceled after 4 years, and The Mick got canceled after 2 years. And the really big one that people are mad about on the drama side is Lucifer, which had a very big fan following based on the Vertigo comic book. The cast and people love the actor Tom Ellis who plays him. But after last night's episode, that might be it. They're still trying to see if they can get somebody, Netflix, Hulu, somebody to come to the rescue. Or DC, of course, has their own streaming service. But so far, it's been kind of quiet. So that may be it for that show after 3 seasons.
Now, is Lucifer? Did they end on a cliffhanger, or how did the last?
Yeah, from my understanding, that was a pretty big cliffhanger, and the producer of the show tweeted right after it got canceled, well, this is going to be not fun for the fans because we left it off on a cliffhanger. And I feel like that's been a time-worn thing where the producers say, we'll just do a cliffhanger, and then they'll never cancel us then, and then they end up getting canceled. That doesn't work. That no one's gonna the networks don't care if you have a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, some of the viewers don't care either. I mean, when Nashville got canceled on a huge cliffhanger and then got picked up by CMT, I didn't care.
Well, the problem with that though, you would have cared if they had marketed it better.
That's true. They didn't market it very well.
Because when they switched over to CMT, the cliffhanger, they showed like the results of that cliffhanger.
Yeah, they
without spoiling it
in their trailers.
Yeah, they spoiled it in the commercials for the CMT broadcast. So it's like, all right, well,
all right,
I know
she's not dead, and
yeah. I'm gonna move on. So I think that's kind of why you were not that excited about the move.
That's true.
So
yeah. Sometimes, what ends up happening is if they don't get any kind of resolution one way or the other, they'll usually just like write a blog post or something and be like, well, this is what we would have done if we had done the show. or maybe they'll put in, obviously Buffy the Vampire Slayer didn't end there, but they continued the story on in comic book form. So there's other possibilities out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our viewer Vanessa is really bummed. She loves Lucifer.
Right.
So that's a bummer for her.
And it's, even if it continued in comic book form, I mean, I've heard mixed reviews on the Buffy stuff.
It was a comic book to start with, so there you go.
Well, there you go. I mean, they did it with like we did with iZombie, where they made it more of like a procedural show. Okay, gotcha. Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if some sort of book form came out so they could wrap up the show. I mean, they did it for Firefly, they did it for Buffy. I think heck, even Heroes had comics that were going on in between the episodes to help kind of fill out the universe a little bit. But I mean, stories could easily continue in comic book form.
So, Henry, we've got a question for you from one of our viewers.
Uh-huh.
Neil asks, are there any quality shows that haven't been axed yet that you're worried about that might get canned soon?
Now we're pretty much down to a couple of them. Ghosted, which was it's only been on for a season, which with Adam Scott and Craig Robinson. It never really took off. It never got big ratings, but for whatever reason, maybe Fox likes those actors or likes the producers and is trying to work out something. But the Ghosted has not been decided on yet. And then the one that the fans are probably most concerned about right now is Timeless, which did get picked up on by NBC after it got canceled, and then they just aired the finale, and the ratings did well, but NBC has yet to decide on that still, so they're leaving them hanging again. I guess NBC doesn't want to jump the gun a third time and then have to change it again.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they do love a cliffhanger. So what did NBC cut out?
So speaking of NBC, we had the one that really I was sad about was Great News, which I talked about last couple weeks ago, which was Tina Fey's show she produced, where she also had a role in where she sort of played the network news executive on the show, and it was sort of a bit of a wacky 30 Rock take on a news network. And Andrea Martin from SCTV and a few other great shows had a role as the main character's mother, and they were sort of like one of the main storylines was that her mother was like a 55-year-old intern and so it was kind of a really fun premise and a really well done show with very similar to the 30 Rock and Kimmy Schmidt kind of feel to it. So I was sad to see that one go.
That was after 2 seasons?
A lot of the other cancellations were pretty much expected, except for maybe Shades of Blue with J-Lo, which was a huge hit and then just fell apart after a couple of years.
How many seasons did Great News have? Was two or
seasons,
2?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was 1 or 2. So
yeah, I don't think there was anything they canceled that had been on a long, long time. But that remake or that TV version of Taken was canceled.
Yeah.
So that was there were not too many surprises other than the fact that NBC picked up Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Well, some good news out of that then. So what about, I guess, let's see, we've hit NBC, we've hit
ABC.
Fox, ABC. What did they cancel?
Yeah,
what they renew?
ABC, it was interesting. They had such an interesting season because they were coming in 4th place, and they brought back American Idol and Roseanne, and that has helped them. Roseanne especially has helped them in a huge way. So they got rid of a lot of stuff that was on for 1 or 2 years and just wasn't cutting the mustard. Designated Survivor, which was supposed to be a huge show for them, got canceled after 2 years. And Once Upon a Time, I'd known for 7 years that they're have a finale on Friday, and nobody's surprised that they canceled Inhumans, or Kevin probably saved the world, which never really took off. So there's and Alex Inquisitive, a lot of these comedies and a lot of these shows. Quantico, which had a bit of a following, got canceled too. But nothing that was like a huge shock, I don't think, in terms of what they got rid of. And they kept Marvel's Age of S.H.I.E.L.D., as you mentioned, for a 6th season coming in the summer of next year, which means it'll basically skip the entire Avengers 4 and all Infinity War. They're working Infinity War into this last episodes of this season, but it's not going to be. It probably helps that they're not going to have to deal with Infinity War for an entire season.
Yeah, that'll help them out because I guess I'm one of the few that's still watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's a shorter season next season. It will be after Infinity War, as you said.
Yeah, it seems like this will be the end of it, but
it probably will be. But I mean, they said that's what they said about this season
they're
too.
Afraid to really like make a commitment to get rid of something from Marvel until they have to.
Yeah, well, I think the ratings have been doing okay. I mean, they're not horrible, but they aren't exactly great either. They've been pretty steady.
They're all right, yeah.
Yeah. For being a Friday slot, it's really good. I do like what they've been doing, how they tie in with Infinity War, though.
Well, Vanessa says that Once Upon a Time needed to go. It was done. There was no point to this last season.
They had a whole contract dispute last year, and where they ended up getting rid of a lot of cast members, and it was kind of a really badly received reboot sort of thing this year. It didn't work out.
The lead left, right? Jennifer Morrison?
Jennifer Morrison left. Jennifer Goodwin left. Josh Dallas, like all the main actors except for like one or two left.
Yeah, you can't do that. We learned that with the second Darren.
They were all fired basically.
Yeah, you can't lose big major
Jennifer
cast
Morrison,
members.
I think he decided to go.
So what else?
The big surprise on CBS was Kevin James. Like I was just talking about 2 weeks ago. I thought he was him and Leah Remini back together this season. They killed off his wife character, which a lot of people didn't like, but they brought Leah Remini back. That didn't work enough for CBS to keep it. They got rid of that, and they got rid of Scorpion, which has a bit of a following after 4 seasons. So those two were, especially Kevin Conway being canceled, was pretty surprising. But they did keep Man with the Plan with Matt LeBlanc and some of their other a few of their other popular sitcoms. Elementary also, which has been going on for a while, is going to be back for 7th year.
Oh wow, it's been 7 years already for that show. Jeez. Yeah.
And Instinct with Alan Cumming, which I think has some promise. It didn't do great in the ratings, but they're bringing that back too.
Okay. So plenty of stuff gone. Few things still left, I guess. So. Yeah. I guess everyone should be.
Speaking of that Taken revival or TV version, Ransom is still on CBS. I don't know how that's possible. I don't know who was watching it.
If this week has been any evidence of it, we have no idea how to predict this stuff. Nobody does. Yeah. I don't even think the stations.
There was a couple of other big things I left out real quick on Fox. Lethal Weapon, I think, or Claim.
Oh. Henry, you break. Henry
on set, and it got out in the news. It became such a problem that they got rid of him.
Hey, Henry.
Replaced him with Sean Lee and Scott.
Henry, we
missed that whole last part. You're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say it again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're choppy, but you're there.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me, like I said, Lethal Weapon had a big issue with their cast. One of the main cast members, playing Kramer, I believe his name is, got basically there was a huge problem with him on set, and again in the news. So they got rid of him and replaced him with Sean William Scott, who's going to be back for the 3rd season of that show. So there was a lot of drama around Fox, and they also brought back Last Man Standing from ABC, which had been off for a year. So those are 2 other big moves for Fox. Plus Gotham will be back for a final season.
Yeah, got that.
I hope you got all that.
Yeah, no, we definitely did. We got it that time.
Okay.
So yeah, no, Gotham will be big because that's going to finally kind of wrap things up and allow that to end gracefully, hopefully. And they brought Fox, like you mentioned, the Tim Allen show. They claimed it was because of Roseanne, is what I saw in the reviews and stuff. The execs were saying because of Roseanne. But
yeah, Fox is going to sort of doing kind of an ABC kind of thing with their sitcoms, where it's family-based comedies, a little bit more middle America kind of comedies instead of what they had been doing. That's part of the reason they got rid of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, from what I understand. So,
Well, we'll see how that works out for them.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, an interesting strategy for Fox. So.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to play with it. I think it's going to work.
Well, right now with the Disney merger, they're doing a lot of changing.
I bet.
Yeah, I believe it.
Well, Henry, where can we find you out in the world when you're not on our lovely podcast?
I'll be updating the CBS and CW stuff the next couple of days at Hanks TV on Twitter.
Awesome.
And I'll be writing up a blog on this stuff too very soon.
Okay.
On popshow.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a website.
Well, Henry, thank you so much for your expertise, and good luck. I'm glad you survived the upfronts.
Unlike a lot of shows I did. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye,
Bye.
Henry. All right.
So
Oh my
it's so
God.
interesting to talk about. Once Upon a Time is done,
Yes.
and the first thing Vanessa said was,
I think about it.
"Glad it was done. It was over. The last season had no point to it."
Yeah.
And Jessica says, "I'd like to put American Idol on as a show that is way expired," which American Idol has been on for my entire life.
It did expire though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it did. And they brought it back and it was stupid. I don't know. I run really hot and cold with American Idol because I don't like Ryan Seacrest, and I don't really have a logical reason for that.
You don't need to have a logical
he
reason.
just bugs. Yeah, pretty much. He just bugs me.
Yeah.
So I don't
Then you should listen to last week. You didn't even mention it on last week's episode.
mention what? Ryan Seacrest?
Yeah, about the people who just annoy you.
Oh,
last week's episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I normally put him in like the back of my mind. Like Ryan
Fair
Seacrest doesn't really surface much in my brain. But anyway, so now we are on to our Jessica says his face is probably the problem, which
It's a very valid
I
reason.
mean, he's a reasonably attractive person. I don't know. He just bothers me. But anyway, so now we are on to the main topic of the evening, which is shows that have gone on too long.
Yes.
Or went on too long, or are currently going on too long. Basically, what has been on the air forever that maybe should have just hung it up.
Well, I think we can exclude news shows, soap operas, and Sesame Street.
Yes.
Because I was looking at some of those, the lengths for the shows that are still like going on. I mean, Sesame Street's been going on for, it's going to be 50 years next year.
50
For
years.
Sesame Street.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So good for them. They
Yeah,
they
well,
should
but
be.
but Sesame Street and the news hold very different, but very important purposes.
Yes.
Sesame Street is a kid's show and it focuses on learning and development, and the news is the news. They have different utility, but utility
Informational.
Yes, but utility nonetheless, and stuff that people of all ages use.
Yes.
So therefore, Vanessa, you can't chime in on our Facebook feed and say CNN's been on too long, because
You can say that for any news channel, honestly, at this point.
Well, you can say that, yeah, absolutely. We're thinking, sitcom scripted shows.
They don't necessarily need to be
No,
still
they
going
don't.
on. But, like, for example, Jessica says Grey's Anatomy. I mean, that's still going on, and I can kind of see that. I don't remember when it even came on. It's been that long.
It's been, that was on when we were in college, so it's been over 15 years. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, way to date us.
I
Thanks.
know. Well, Grey's Anatomy has been on forever, and they've been through, they chewed through all their cast members in the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Because what's her name? Katherine Heigl went off to launch her movie career that
Didn't really launch.
it
You know who was flying her movie career? Launchpad.
Oh, okay.
Never
You
met
just
something he couldn't crash.
Yeah, you had to get into that, didn't you?
Of course.
But that's true. I forget that Grey's Anatomy is still on, because why is it still on? To keep that one actress employed, isn't everybody else that was in the original cast dead or killed off? Or
I think Sandra Oh's still in it, and the main Grey lady.
yeah, her.
Yeah, her and Sandra Oh are the only two in it that I still know of.
Well-
But I don't, like Jessica, I don't watch it. It's just kind of,
It's just that
yeah.
it occasionally crosses my radar for whatever reason.
Right.
Well, we keep up Pop Show on Facebook, and pretty much anything on air surfaces at some point. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't, it probably just got killed in this last round of cancellations that came through.
Yeah.
But like, speaking of shows that have been on forever, Neil brings up The Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the last time I watched a Simpsons episode.
Not one that you hadn't already seen.
Right. Yeah, it's just been forever. And as everyone keeps reminding us, Sandra Oh is no longer on the show.
Shows you what I know.
So there you go, Keith. You were wrong about that. But yeah, The Simpsons has been on for 30 years, right? Maybe longer. 30.
I can find out.
I mean, it started not long after we were born.
Yeah. And
we're in our mid-30s, so it's just been on forever. And it has recently come under and we've talked a lot about this because things that were culturally fine 30 years ago we have moved past them.
Yes.
Certain racial stereotypes and
1989 for The Simpsons.
So 30 years next year.
Yeah.
So the character of Apu came under because it was written as a caricature 30 years ago, and although probably also racist 30 years ago, it's
culture was different.
We're becoming more aware of this, and we're becoming more sensitive to the different cultures in our society.
Looney Tunes.
Right.
Those old 20s, 30s Looney Tunes with the gremlins and the the Chinese.
It's not something that works anymore.
No.
And that is relevant, but it's also like...
We're just becoming more socially aware.
Right, and we have, and that's a good thing. But the Simpsons, though, they recently sort of tackled that head on and said... Yeah, that's the way it was when it was written.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but not really, and
I mean,
at this
that's
point,
a whole other discussion of how much apologizing we want to do in this day and age.
I gotta say, at this point, do they maybe want to retire and are just sort of like chicken fighting?
They might be.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, they're going to have enough. Matt Groening and the rest of that crew are just going to be able to ride residuals from all the syndication for the rest of their life. And their grandchildren are going to be able to do it. So
they're absolutely fine. And The Simpsons did something for the culture of TV and animation that was profound.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, they have these inappropriate things. And I think as long as you view... I mean, this is my take. I think as long as you view these things with an eye of... Okay, that's what the culture was. We have evolved since then. You can at least look at it with that fresh eye and that sense of saying, not fresh eye per se, but at least look at it through those glasses, saying, okay, this is what it was. We've come far since then. I can still, enjoy it for what it was then.
Well, I think too that it's important to, look at this stuff and make some objective decisions on it. I mean, not to say that everything that's out there is a tool for learning, but, there are teachable moments in all this stuff.
For sure.
And, the things that we experienced in our childhood are not something that the next generation is going to experience. And I don't know, that's a whole other psychological,
we're getting
socioeconomic conversation. Jessica points out that the last season of Dexter wasn't necessary. Dexter was not one of my shows, but you mentioned it.
I watched Dexter, and I will second that. Dexter kind of falls in that same grouping of How I Met Your Mother. Really good show. Had its high moments, definitely had its low moments, but still had pretty solid high moments. But if they had kind of removed a season or two in the middle and then chopped off the last season or two at the end, it could have remained a solid show that said it lasted as long as it needed to. You know, I mean, I'm trying to think, and, Vanessa may agree with me or disagree with me. Season 1 was really good. I think everyone's going to agree with me on that one. Season 2 was okay. Season 3 was getting better. Season 4 was really good for Dexter, this is. Season 5, pretty solid. Season 6, 7 were 6 was okay, and then 7 was just like, nah. So, some of these shows, they're trying to see how long they can ride it and keep bringing that money in. And sometimes, it's not necessarily the creator's decision. It's more so the executives and the channel's decision. Because Travis mentioned something, he can't be here tonight, but he was saying something. Hey, he's like, hey, for the top of tonight, mention Scrubs. They went on for a season or two too long, but because they gave them more seasons, the writers had to rewrite the ending of season 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
To kind of keep the series going and keep people around. And he was like, the writers wanted to just end it there and be done with it, but
well,
making that money.
You mentioned having a show that's just a good show for the time that it was on. And so much of it is, if it's a hit, they want to squeeze everything out of it. But I think there's some merit to just saying, you know what, this is a good show, and it lasted for 4 years, and it made us a lot of money for 4 years, and let's all move on to our next projects. One show that should have done that, and it breaks my heart because I love it, is The Office.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Now, you haven't experienced it, but I've watched probably every episode of The Office dozens of times. Well, not every episode dozens of times, but I've watched them all a lot, except for one episode, Scott's Tots, which I can't watch more than once because it's that cringy. But anyway, it's a great show. It's really smart. It falls off steeply after Steve Carell left to have quite a lucrative movie career. It does work for some people.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I mean, because even Henry mentioned a minute ago, Once Upon a Time, I think once you lose those main lynch point characters, the series was based around Jennifer Morrison's character in Once Upon a Time. I think The Office kind of grew to evolve, around Steve Carell, and you started liking the Jim, the Pam, and the Dwights, more than the Steve Carell character. But that show started with Steve Carell as, the cornerstone of that show. It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to watch it because I like Steve Carell, and it's, this funny British show. And it built from there, and you kind of...
Well, the British show and the American version were pretty much shot for shot for the first few episodes. Yeah, and even the first season. And I watched the first episode, or the first season of The British Office, and I loved it, and that's part of the reason why I love the American show. But, and Jessica agrees with me, The Office shouldn't have continued. And I love Steve Carell, and I love The Office, and I think it was... fine. I mean, it wasn't good after he left, but it was not the worst.
You were still hanging on to the show.
Of course I held on to it, and I held on into the finale. Yeah. Because I was invested in these characters.
Right.
And they didn't necessarily do the characters badly. Really, I don't know. They made some missteps that I didn't agree with, but that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not
not a misstep like that Star-Lord, am I right, Alexis?
Oh, no, don't get her started. But yeah, and Jessica brings up a good point. The dynamic shifted and it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And then they had this then they started getting kind of showy with how big of a hit the show was. And you can sort of see it. They start bringing in guest stars that are unnecessarily, they're they did it just to be part of it, and Cloris Leachman and Jack Black guest starred, and Will Ferrell was on a few episodes, and Ray Romano, and these people who are really well known, who have really well established themselves, they were coming in for these guest spots, and you're thinking, how much are they getting paid for this? And it just seems sort of silly. It wasn't quite jumping the shark. We'll get into Happy Days later, but it was still grasping.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done with my Office rant. Yeah,
good.
no, I'm good.
Bradley and Vanessa both mentioned Supernatural, but they're on they're on opposite ends. Bradley says it should probably go, and Vanessa said it's on its final season, and she's sad to see it go. Supernatural is one of those ones that I hear about. I have not watched it, but I know they've gotten kind of quirky with their stuff, kind of like how Angel did the puppet episode. Supernatural did a Scooby-Doo episode. They did this crossover animated episode, and I'm assuming it was good. I hope it was good because I like Scooby-Doo and I like cartoons. So, but Supernatural started to get in that kind of crossover. I'm not going to call it shticky because I never watched the episodes, but they started to do some things like that to kind of not necessarily reinvent, but kind of pump some life into it. Let's change up the formula a little bit. So,
well, Law and Order SVU has been on for a zillion years. Yep, you were ready for that one.
I was.
It got renewed, and they made this big deal about season 26 or whatever. I mean, it's been on forever.
Yeah.
And or maybe 18 or 19 or I don't know, 50. I don't know. It's just been on forever.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, the longest running Law and Order show. There
probably is.
There were so many of them. There was Law and Order, and then there was 8 spin-offs. And I mean, that's true for a lot of those crime shows. But yeah, Law and Order SVU is still going strong, and they kind of have a I mean, Mariska Hargitay has been on the show forever, and Ice-T has been on the show forever. But everybody else has kind of left, which is sad. but it is what it is. I mean, they it's funny because I've seen I've watched all of them, and you see how they kind of initially were running threads through with plot involving the main characters, and then they would abandon that because, not in a messy way, but they just wouldn't keep up with it because, like, we don't care.
Well, and
I mean, the detectives, their drama comes into it, but, like, it's more about, hey, how are we going to get into this crime? And I agree with Vanessa. I still watch it. I watch it every week, but when they do crossovers, it bugs me.
But see, here's the thing with Law & Order SVU, because they're not, I mean, I'm assuming they've got those little arcs here and there, but because they're not doing some big overall arc, like Ted meeting the mother, or, even with Castle, with Nathan Fillion and Stanya Katic, there was that romance there, like, all right, when are they going to finally end up together? These things that they tease for so long, and after a while, you're just like, all right, I don't even care if XYZ happens anymore because they've just drug it out. With Law & Order, they don't have that. So you're just kind of watching, you're able to watch. You could jump in on an episode. I could jump in on an episode right now and fully understand everything going on.
You absolutely could.
And so I think that kind of helps that stuff like that out. Neil's asking about any shows we know have been running too long, but you just don't care. South Park?
Yeah, South Park is a weird one for me because I love South Park. I was an evangelist for a really long time through college.
Yeah.
And then I kind of dropped off with it. And then they got real weird for a while.
They still pop up on the news every so often for their commentary.
I will say. But see, that was the kind of show where you could just drop in, like Kenny got killed in every episode. And,
right.
Like you could just drop in and see some fairly witty commentary. Well, witty according to those guys.
Right.
And, if it fits your particular sense of humor, I mean, some people find it unintelligent. I didn't mind it. But then they started getting serial with it, and I it just felt weird.
Yeah.
And then, but I will say this last season, they did an episode. I don't know what even made me watch it. They did an episode about, like, the ancestry DNA test. You can send your vial of spit out into the world.
We've done that.
Yeah, we have done that. But it was, like, over the top and ridiculous, but, like, I was in tears. And, not all of those episodes do that to me. And, yeah, Vanessa says she hates it. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
And I come and go with it. I don't care that it's still on. It probably doesn't need to be, but, whatever. They can laugh into their pile of money. And they are doing so much more than just South Park.
Right.
Because now the Book of Mormon is a hit.
Yeah.
And that's
good for them.
Yeah.
So Alex is chiming in saying he wishes all the propaganda shows would be canceled immediately. I mean, me personally, any reality television, whatever. I'd cancel it all. I don't care.
Propaganda, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm assuming he's meant cops?
Like Law and Order, though, right? Like the crime trust.
Okay.
Which, they're so fake. So fake. Like any cop.
They're not based on, that's because they're not based on factual events.
Yeah, no, they make a very big deal about how they are not based on anything. But, obviously they're going to hit on relevant social issues and things like that. It makes me sad for the actual police force and their limited resources.
Okay, so this kind of ties in with that because I watched the trailer before the show started. I haven't posted it on my Facebook page, but you guys can find it. It's the internet. Rookie, Nathan Fillion's new show, The Rookie. He's this middle age, as he is in real life, guy who decides he wants to join the police force. But something I thought was interesting is they're updating the show so much that it's a cop drama. It's not, I'm sure he'll still make his quips as he does, but it actually, it'll cut from traditional camera view of the cops and the action going on to the body cams that he's actually wearing. So you see footage from the body cam, and then you'll go back to, like, I don't know how jarring it's going to be in the episode. We'll have to see how it actually plays out. But they're tying in body cam footage into the show now, which I think is kind of interesting. I'll be curious to see how well it goes over with, viewers. And I'll check it out because I love Nathan Fillion. So
it's interesting, but I think it makes you, I don't know. I feel like the context of society would make you suspicious of the wearer of the camera.
Even when we're not doing anything wrong, the comes behind you, even without the sirens on, you're still like, oh, crap.
Well, that's true.
Hands at 10 and 2,
Yeah,
seatbelt on.
I don't know. I
good?
guess I'd have to watch it to see sort of how it came out.
Yeah, so I'll check it out.
Oh, propaganda is apparently like murder, like porn.
Oh.
You know, have you heard that term before? Informative murder porn?
No.
It was this, I mean, I first heard it on South Park, of all things, which is basically like those true crime, like I killed my husband and the stuff I watch that you tease me for watching. There's so many good shows. Why are you watching that?
There are.
I know.
There's plenty.
Alex comments that South Park's perspective is too nihilistic to be genuine. Genuinely effective. You have to believe in something to make an effective point. And that's true, Alex, but it's also something that's given the show the legs that it's had.
Yeah, and
Nothing is safe. They hate everybody.
And I agree to an extent, but I mean, I also appreciate anybody, whether it's a TV show or a comedian or just, a news anchor that can point out the absurdities of life,
Yeah.
Because we're getting into too many tangents, but I mean, we get into arguments about stuff, not you and me personally, but, the world gets in arguments about stuff that it's like, this is what you guys are arguing about, and there are way more important things going on, and this is all, relative. I mean, what I see as important versus, squabbling, is going to be different than Vanessa's or Alex's or even your point of view. But it's, I do appreciate when people can just point out the absurdity or the ridiculousness in any given situation. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, what's the point?
Well, yeah, and that, that's the thing about South Park. I think they tend to be an equalizer, or they want to be, or so they kind of just hate everything. So Vanessa points out Big Bang Theory has been on for a long time. Isn't that done now? Isn't it on its last season or next season's last season? Or...
No, I think they're still going.
No, they can't. They said they were ending it.
I know they just had the big old wedding with Mark Hamill.
Yeah, Amy and Sheldon got married. But no,
yeah.
I think they said they were done. Well, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, they have been on for a while, and it's the sort of thing that some seasons are better than others, and they just keep going. But that show is making so much money. Yeah, final season.
No, I don't.
Look, the first. And
They have teased season 12 as the final season, but this is renewed. Okay, there it is. TV line 6 days ago. Big Bang Theory renewed for final season 12. So 12 seasons, and it'll be done. So
that's plenty. It's getting ridiculous.
Okay,
it was always ridiculous. I liked Big Bang Theory. I still do. My beef with CBS All Access. So my little backstory. My mother uses my Amazon Prime, and I don't think knows how the free trials work on Amazon Prime. So she will say, oh, I could get 7 days free of PBS Masterpiece, or I could get 7 days free of CBS All Access, or 7 days free of HBO, which is great until the 7 days are up and I'm back to basically paying a cable bill. So Amazon, I think, recognizing that this is probably a problem for more people than just me, has started now emailing me kindly when my mother signs us up for a free subscription. So then I give her a couple days and I call her and I say, are you done with whatever it was you were watching? Because I'm canceling this. It's $6 a month or $15 a month or however much it is. So the only one I was on the fence about keeping, I kept HBO, but the only one that I was on.
Wait, you're paying for HBO too?
Yeah, we can talk about that off air.
Okay.
I know, combining households and all the many things that we have dual subscription
HBO,
for.
so
we'll talk about it off air. But the only thing I considered keeping was CBS All Access because I was on the fence for it for a show that was ironically canceled. The Wisdom of the Crowd is about social media and finding a kid who was kidnapped, which I thought was interesting with Jimmy
Piven.
Yeah. But I wound up never watching it, and whatever, it is what it is. Also, Star Trek Discovery. But I thought, okay, well, my mom signed me up for this. This is my life now. I'm paying for CBS All Access. Fine. And it's convenient because it's just accessible through the Prime app. However, I went to catch up with Big Bang Theory, which I guess I'd stopped watching because I was downloading it on my treadmill because the gym that I went to in Atlanta had really bad Wi-Fi, so I just downloaded the episodes. And that was like 2 seasons ago, so I needed to catch up on like 9 and 10 before I got into this season.
Right.
I couldn't get them. They had 9, or they had 10, but not 9, or something like that. And it's because of the syndication rights. They can't, and I'm like, it's your show, but they can't stream them. So then I rage quit CBS All Access as soon as my mom was done.
so annoying.
Yeah, it was annoying. So we're still not subscribed to that.
I'm gonna throw one out just to kind of see how the crowd takes it, to see if anyone else is watching it. Archer, they're currently on season 8.
Don't you still love it though?
Oh, I do. I still enjoy it but that's why I'm throwing it out to everybody else, because I still enjoy it just because it's so ridiculous. But it's after season 6, well, even season 7 tied back into the main storyline. But I think season 8's just they're doing like this anthology of sorts where it's just like, forget that main storyline you guys were worried about, the past 7 years. Now everybody's on a tropical island. So hey, Bradley's like, Archer's still on. Yeah, I think they're on season 8. I think it's season 8.
Okay, but didn't they have to change some pretty crucial plot points because the bad guy was ISIS?
Well, they were ISIS, and the real world bad guy was ISIS. So, yeah, they solved that, and they did okay with it. They kind of lagged a little bit, but at its core, it's just them doing random spy-like missions and being jerks, and it's basically James Bond: Arrested Development. And they managed to hold on pretty well with it. But then, the end of season 6 had some pretty big implications. And so the season 7, they played with the formula a little bit, and they made it a noir version of Archer, still within the context of the storyline up to that point. But then now this season, they're on some tropical Indiana Jones-like island and doing this whole Indiana Jones thing. But I think 3 episodes are out, and I need to catch up. But the writers are just like, yeah, we thought about tying it to the main show. We even thought about doing Knights of the Round Table, but we just this is something we want to do this season. And so I think we might get some sort of anthology probably isn't the right word, but they're just gonna it's gonna be like a variety show. They're just gonna mix it up every season now with different themes, still keeping the same characters and all the stuff we know about them and the backstories. But yeah, so they're changing it up. I'm gonna see. Hopefully, it'll be good.
Yeah, all right. Well, I was reading about this and preparing for the show today, and I was reminded of 2 beloved TV shows. One is a classic, and one is a sort of modern classic.
Okay. Real quick, Jessica says she still loves Archer. It hasn't gotten terrible for her. And Vanessa's husband, Jacob, still watches it pretty regularly.
Well, you're in good company then.
Good.
I mean, long running doesn't mean bad.
No, definitely not.
Sometimes they expire, but, not always. And Jessica thinks that Archer will tap out in a season or 2.
Most likely.
Which is a reasonable conclusion. So I was reading back, and there were a few episodes or a few examples of shows that ran on too long. A good example, and this was sort of touched on with Once Upon a Time, was Bewitched, when they lost the Darren, and then there was second Darren.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that. You can't run out a main character and then it just doesn't work.
Right.
You can.
It's like it's like the Dick Van Dyke Show, but replacing Dick Van Dyke after 3-4 seasons with Dick Van Patten.
Yeah.
It's the Hey Abbott guy with.
No, I know. Okay. Yeah, it's like that.
I mean.
Okay, I'll give it to you. Charmed, excellent example. Bradley took out lost the main character.
What is it? Shannon Doherty or whatever her name is. Pretty sure that was her.
All us brunettes look alike.
It's true. Like squirrels.
But yeah, they I can't even dignify that with a response. But yeah, you can't really replace the main character like that and it be fine. It just doesn't work. It's weird. That sort of that's not what killed Saved by the Bell.
New Class,
but they totally did that, and
then
they handled that super weird because when they originally played that last season, they had half of the episode shot with Kelly and Jesse, and those are the 2 that bailed on their contracts are up and they didn't renew, and then they did half of the episodes with Tori and that other cast, and then they alternated them when they aired them, which Saved by the Bell wasn't totally serial. They had some storylines that continued, Zach and Kelly dated off and on, and but it didn't necessarily needed to be watched in strict order. But that was weird. They handled that in a weird way. And then the other one that I was surprised to see was Roseanne played itself out the first time it ran. The last season of Roseanne, like she won the lottery and all this weird stuff happened, and it was like, okay. And then the last episode of the last season, what we thought was the series finale, Dan was dead. And she like made him up, and it was this like novel she wrote or something weird like that. And now Roseanne is back.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's
John
fine.
Goodman's wondering why everyone thinks he's dead.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was interesting for me. Jessica points out that it was weird replacing a main character was when Heath Ledger died in the middle of shooting the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and they had like him and Jude Law filled in, and there was like a third guy, and they all played the same character.
I never saw it.
Either. That was a little ghoulish for me.
I mean, never mind. I was gonna make a really bad joke about Kevin Spacey being replaced by Chris Plummer.
Nope.
But that's
can't too soon.
Yep, that's we're gonna keep on moving. Vanessa mentions a show called Wolf Bloods on the BBC that changes every season, and it keeps some of the non-main characters, and the show shows the story of one main character. She said it's a little bit odd, but it reminded me of two shows that kind of do that, and one is a stark change every season. Well, every season or every 2 seasons, and then one changes it whenever the main character actually changes. Doctor Who changes the main character right now about every 3 years is the average
Yeah,
rate.
but there's precedent and structure
Right.
for that.
And there are other
that started in the 60s.
and there are other non-main characters, or even main characters that kind of stick on throughout the season. So you still have a cohesive universe of sorts. I guess if that makes sense. So you still got some sort of the viewer still has a connection to the show somehow.
The structure of the show is better built, is built enough to sustain changing main characters.
Right. But the other show, Power Rangers. When we first got Power Rangers, back in the late 90s, or no, mid-90s, 94. And they kept on with that main cast for 3 seasons and a little mini-series. And then eventually they changed it up and they went from, they got new powers after Morphin and went to Zeo. Zeo had Turbo, and then Turbo they finally changed the Rangers. Don't give me that look.
I'm not giving you a look.
Power Rangers used to be my Ninja Turtles back in the day.
I said nothing.
And so Turbo changed the Rangers, and then they kind of kept still even from the Mighty Morphin era all the way through Lost Galaxy with at least some sort of cohesive storyline. And yes, Vanessa, 2 movies, one which was in continuity, one which was completely out of continuity, but that's a whole other thing. Shush.
Okay, I'm sorry. I held it in as long as I could.
And so after Lost Galaxy, they kind of just like not necessarily forgot about all those seasons, but they're like, all right, we're starting with a clean slate, new characters, new powers, new Zords. And would you stop over there? But they would still have a crossover episode with the previous season's Rangers, just because that's how the Japanese stuff.
Rangers.
Oh yeah, well it's going on 24 years, 25 years now with Power Rangers.
They're up to like what 50 different kids who played.
Oh yeah. I mean, there is a new group now almost every season or every 2 seasons. I think the past 3 iterations of Power Rangers, they have done it like 2 season increments before they decide to wipe the slate clean again with new kids.
Jessica just called you a verbal IMDb.
Yeah.
He basically is. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
Neil liked it.
Well, it's entertaining.
I mean, the Power Rangers, I kind of fell away from them after, I don't know. I mean, I stuck around for a little bit after Galaxy, but then that whole SPD Mystic Knights thing.
Yeah.
No, that was another one. Anyways, Mystic Knights of Tiernanog and Beetleborgs and VR Troopers.
Oh my gosh.
There's a whole...
I can't even. Okay, so fun fact about, my life living with this man. Keith discovered that every episode of the Power Rangers was streaming for some reason on.
No. Hold on. Shout Factory has an Apple TV app, which is the best thing ever now because it doesn't have the Power Ranger episodes. It has the original Japanese version, the Sentai versions of the Power Rangers, which is what they were based on, where they took all the fight footage from. And they've got it all. I mean, they've got it subtitled, but it's all original Japanese, all like 50 episodes from the original Mighty, what we consider Mighty Morphin, which was technically their Zooey Rangers. But yeah, I watched a few episodes of that, and the theme song got stuck in your head.
The theme song did get stuck in my head for like 4 days. But
which theme song would you rather have, that one or DuckTales?
There's really no escaping now. After trying to catch up with Bob's Burgers, I've been singing the Fluffy Butt theme song, which isn't even a real thing in our world.
Bob's Burgers, another show that's been going on for, I guess, now 8 years, and it's going to get another 9th season. Still been going on, still strong.
Yeah. It's
we still enjoy it. So
one that's on my list that I loved with a deep passion was Desperate Housewives. And they did a time jump that screwed everything up. And
it got weird.
Yeah, it got weird. So let me tell you, I was so committed to Desperate Housewives. I watched it every week with my college roommate. And when we moved to, like over 1,000 miles apart, she moved to New York, I moved to Georgia, we would still call each other on Sunday nights and watch Desperate Housewives together, like on the phone for an hour. And this is before unlimited minutes, although it was after 9, so it was okay. And again, I'm dating myself. Anyway, we would just watch Desperate Housewives together and call each other on commercial breaks. And that was just how we did it. And then they did that weird time jump and brought in Vanessa Williams, whom I love. But, they just, one season, you turned it on and it was 5 years in the future.
Was Vanessa Williams on there? Was this after Ugly Betty or before Ugly Betty?
I don't know how Ugly Betty and
Desperate Housewives
combine.
Okay.
I don't know that time frame.
Oh, that would have been a weird crossover episode.
Well, it just didn't work out anymore, and so many of the original like dramas that you wanted solved, and again, killed off a main character. But like the original intrigue of it kind of got wrapped up, and then they kept going with it because it was a hit show, and it was a mess. But yeah, the last season or so, I didn't even bother with, but I really love that show. And yeah, the time jump sort of screwed it up. And apparently it was before Ugly Betty. Thank you.
There we go. So.
But yeah, and there's plenty of shows in my life that I feel have been canceled too soon, that I missed and I wish had lasted longer. But part of me is also glad that they didn't ring it out. You know what I mean? Like they didn't play it to death. Because that would be a whole other level of disappointment. Like at least I have, it's like any Firefly fan will say, at least we've got that season, that great season.
Too soon.
I'm sorry. Well, you want to wrap this up? One final thought.
Sure. Neil mentioned real quick that the 70s show ran too long. One final thought. Don't go back and watch the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They don't age well. If you want to start off with the Power Rangers, get somewhere,
Yeah, they really don't age well. It's like foam everywhere. It's like really cheesy. It's like if you went to an off-brand Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
not even Chuck E. Cheese is bad enough, but this is like the Walmart of Chuck E. Cheese.
They got better with integrating the footage. Like if you go back and watch the original stuff, the original Power Rangers, you can see where the footage is definitely like chopped in there, and it's horrible. I don't know how it did as well as it did. A bunch of clueless kids. That's how it did so well. Anyways, if you want to watch a Power Rangers season, watch RPM on Netflix. It's still enjoyable, and they kind of poke fun at themselves because it was supposed to be their last season before Disney bought it, I think, or was it the last season Disney was done with it? I think it was the last season Disney was done with it because Disney actually bought it for a while there. And they were like, yeah, we're done with it. And so they just kind of had fun with it and went all out, and it turned out to be a really good season. And then Saban bought it back, and I think we got really crappy Power Rangers after that. But
so your final thoughts about Power Rangers?
Yeah. Hey, you asked for a final thought.
We'll just, you know what? We're just going to have to do a whole episode on Power Rangers now. Catching up on comments, Danielle, back to Dexter, said it was amazing before the last season, and she still hasn't watched it. Vanessa's just laughing at us in general.
Probably me.
And Neil says that the whole show was like a cheap action figure commercial, which is true, but that's kind of part of the charm.
It was it was part of that whole 90s era of taking footage from someone else and just repurposing it, which is really just the American dream right there. I got nothing.
No,
the 80s was really the cheap merchandise.
That's true.
You know, those shows were made to sell toys. I mean, at least Power Rangers was already made, but those toys were poof. We're going in there rushing around for the toys.
Yeah. Okay, my final thought. You know, Modern Family's been on for a long time. And it's starting to not make a ton of sense because the kids are all out of the house.
Yeah.
Not all of them. You know, there's still little kids in the families, but you know, and they, I think, are realizing that, and I think they were talking about wrapping up the seasons or the series. Like I know the actors, some of them have said that, hey, maybe we should be done because all these kids are in college or out of the house or
should have their own families at this point.
Right. Well, eventually that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in the way that life works. So when it's getting to the point where it's obvious that they're having to keep like making up excuses for these different characters to be present in the scenarios, that's just not how life works. And if you divert too far from something that people can identify with, then it's going to fall apart.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you know, I think that my final thought would be, you know when to fold them, man.
Yeah.
You know, like
end on a high note.
And there's nothing wrong with that because, and honestly, it might be the best things for the actors and the writers anyway.
Yeah, because Jason Segel didn't want to be in that last season of How I Met Your Mother.
Well, yeah, he barely was. I mean, wasn't he like attached to a robot and an iPad half the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of, and also Jason Segel had moved on to stuff, but like, you know, give your writers and your actors and your directors and your producers opportunities to take their success and work on their passion projects. You know, like if I was an actor and I made a ton of money, if I was Jenna Fisher, Pam.
Yes.
And made a ton of money being Pam, right? I think what I would want to do is take my ton of money and do the sort of projects that I really love.
Which is what I think Josh Radnor's doing.
Yeah, well,
when was the last time you saw him? Other than that, actually, that's the reason Miles isn't here tonight. He's watching the season finale of Rise, which is where Josh Radnor is, in a TV show about a high school drama club or chorus club or something, some sort of high school club. Yeah.
Good final thought. Bradley wants to know when the Power Rangers episode's happening because he wants to make sure he marks his calendar, and we promise we will announce it.
I've got to dust off my Power Morpher back there and shine up the power coins. I'll be ready to have that episode.
Oh my gosh. We'll just, you know what? We'll just do a whole. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. It was fun as always. And if you are listening in podcast form, join us live on Tuesday nights starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, facebook.com/popshow. If Bradley's not joking, he definitely wants to watch the Power Rangers episode. Or
maybe I'll do a little maybe I'll do a little side video where I just talk about Power Rangers and just, or Bradley can just come over and I'll just talk Power Rangers with him if he wants.
Yeah.
So
we'll have a good time. Or download the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Podbean. And also keep up with us on Facebook and Twitter. We post all the time.
We do.
And we like to talk about it. And our friends like to talk about it. So if you're interested in what's going on in pop culture, chances are we want to chat too.
And share it with your friends that also like to chat about pop culture.
Yeah, and give us a rating. I feel like we're asking a lot of you. But if you like us, tell us you like us and give us some stars. You got stars, we want them. And yeah, that's it. I guess we'll see you guys next week. We'll think of another amazing topic.
If not, we'll just talk Power Rangers.
Yeah, we might just talk Power Rangers.
Bye.